It is a lazy day, and I decided to provide the feed to the doggies in this way. I just made a long line with the feed. They are mastiff, they don't need to eat out of a bowl. And as they live 365 days a year outside, doesn't matter how the weather is on this particular day, they are equipped for that, and they don't know any better. That is totally appropriate, and it saves me the hassle to fill bowls. But then of course they can also have their social time, like you can see right now, which is totally normal. They all get their ration, that's not a problem. But now they have an opportunity to negotiate, and that's what they need also for their mental health. And speaking about the doggies, here comes the next thing that we have on our list. We are still in that phase that I do what I can and Angel visits, because we have to solve the problem with this transportation. We are working on that, but it has not been solved. So we have to rent a vehicle and then optimize that day. So we do this once a week, or if need be, we do this twice. But it's an elevated cost, so we cannot overdo this. But we have a vehicle inside, and hopefully soon we can purchase it, and then he will be here daily as before. So here, this is the end of that wall. Unfortunately, the very same Angel had an accident here, and therefore this is a little bit damaged, but we will fix this, and we will continue with that wall a little bit and install here the gate that we have already, and also the gate that's going into this piece there in the center. And then we can start putting up a part of the fence, because I managed to set this fence post here, one of 3, and I decided not to use concrete but instead gravel. The thought is this needs bracing anyway, and if I set this in gravel, that I have some drainage, and the pressure treated post will not sit in a wet hole. So I believe that this helps the longevity of this, and it's less hassle than to do it with concrete, because the gravel is right here. This is the rest of the gravel. And then there is another fence post that I managed to set, which is right there. And this is where the direction changes a little bit, so it goes a few degrees to the left. And then there at the end, let me walk you over there, there is the third one. You can also see those dormant Paulownia trees. They are now entering their second year, so there's nothing to do. And here, that Paulownia that you see here, just as I mentioned this one received a technical cut last year. The horses did it, so no human. And you see it is equally as tall and strong as the other ones. And here is the third fence post. And then the corner over there gets the other type of fence post, metal fence posts, that will sit in the concrete of the wall. So my thinking is that along the wall that we built, we have a industrial type fence, while the other 2 parts, the other 3 parts actually, so this one there, and the one that goes along there, and then a piece of that is going to be the regular wire mesh, 2 meters high, and maybe an electrical element on top. In that particular case, I remember this fence post is 220 above the ground, and it's a 3 meter long fence post, so this should be pretty sturdy. And then the dog enclosure, the new one, should be ready to use, and of course this we will then remove when we have a little bit of time. I can give you a view on the inside. It's not pretty. You see the dogs removed a few things. So everything that was left was already damaged. So there isn't really anything to preserve. So this has a lot of water damage because of the history of this. So the idea is to preserve as much of the wooden pieces that can be preserved. And yeah, this yurt was used a few times, and other than that, I wish we had not bought it. But so is life, you never know. And then we reclaim the material here from the floor. And this includes some wooden planks and some cinder blocks, quite a bit. And we can then reuse this material for something else. So for example, this could be used for, let's say, a chicken coop. Something like that. And then we have these other palovnia trees here that have now finished their first year. And I am discussing in my head whether I should give them a technical cut or not. Because if you look at this, this is already quite big. And I wonder if I should cut them all or only the skinnier ones. Well, Oliver has a discussion, but it's Schneeflocke, female, and not Schneemann. They have to negotiate, like I said. So probably this one here is worth cutting, but then that is one that got cut involuntarily when it was much younger. And you see, there is another one that is pretty sick already. And I wonder if it makes sense. So I have not reached a conclusion. But soon there will be the moment. So here, this one we did cut. You can see this is definitely on the skinnier side. So here is the cut. So probably that one also makes sense to cut because it is so skinny. But the thicker ones, I don't see a point in doing that, because the purpose of the technical cut is just to use the root system from the year before for faster growth. And if they have grown already like this, I think the root system is more than enough. So I guess most of them that have developed well, I will not cut. But maybe some of you has a thought and would like to leave a comment. I appreciate that. Every single piece that is hanging here from the ceiling is accounted for individually. Nothing can escape. Each leg has a label with an identification number. Now Angel is taking one out to have a closer look. And here it is. You can see how yellow the fat is, and you can also notice how it has shrunk. Now the weight is significantly less than when it was fresh. When you start cutting the ham, it is important to keep this fat in order to close the cut surface again, so that it won't dry out. To get your own leg of ham, you can head over to our web shop and order some. There are two options for you to buy the ham. We offer envelopes with 100 grams of hand-sliced pieces of ham, and there is the full leg. In the case of a front leg, it's about 4 to 6 kilo each. Families in Spain keep the leg in the kitchen, and everybody cuts off a slice whenever they are hungry. It is a cloudy day, and we are expecting rain tonight. So the forecast talks about 40 millimeters of rain from a little bit before midnight and whole day tomorrow, which is Friday. Today is Thursday. And despite the fact that the day is very cloudy, our new solar extension does produce quite a lot of energy. And I can give you a few numbers. So we have a hot water maker, so the heater for the hot water, the boiler, and this draws some 2300 watt, 6 kilowatt hours to make the whole 100 liters hot. And that thing is currently being powered by the solar panels, mostly those. The other ones, they're still there, but they do not produce that much, so you can almost forget about them. And it's working out. Of course, now it is not that dark as it used to be an hour or two ago, but it will change when the clouds for the rain move in. So this is working out very well. And there's a bit more that I want to show you over there. So here around the corner is what I want to show you. Angel and I yesterday worked a little bit with concrete, and we built this. So this thing here took 4 barrels and is a concrete footer for the container, which will arrive once we have built the second one, which is going to be located over there. So this sits here on top of the stones, has of course rebar in it. The surface is not extremely smooth, but it doesn't matter for this purpose. So this is basically homemade, and we also had to use the rest of the cement that we had, and the sand isn't also the perfect one and all this, but it's the right ingredients, 1, 2, 3 mix, to make this, and it should work for this purpose. So there will be 1 feet of the container, 1 foot, and the other foot over there. So the container has 4 feet, 1 on each side, and it will sit in the air. It will not sit on the ground because the floor inside is wooden, and you don't want this floor to sit on the ground or nor be near it, which is why we have all the stone there, so that it sits in the air above the stone, and the stone is not organic, and therefore nobody will build a nest there and then mess with the wood of the floor and all these things. So this will be it, and then of course we will fill this up a little bit with more stone and smaller, finer gravel to have an entrance. And of course all this will then also be shaped, but this is all details. And eventually, I keep mentioning this, eventually there will be a second container on the same level as this one there, so the elevation will be equal, so that on top we can then have that roof that I mentioned. And all the while we use whatever material we have and we want to bury, like those bags of cement that have gone bad. So we use this as our landfill here basically, and then make it nice on top, and eventually have an outdoor workshop or a storage facility for vehicles and whatever. And of course we have the 2 containers to keep our tools and other things in a safe place and dry and out of reach of all kinds of animals that might want to mess with them. So that is what we achieved yesterday. It took us basically the whole day, but that's okay, we don't do this often. And the next time we will then make the second one, and then we should be ready after finishing the grate, because you can see it goes down there, so there is material missing. And then we should be ready to take delivery of the container. There's also something else that I can mention, and there will be a dedicated video about this, but as this will come out first, I should mention it as early as possible. I already made a community post about this, so we have confirmation that on April 9th we will receive, the amount has increased, 28,000 saplings from the Life Terra Foundation, who is giving us those trees so that we can plant a huge Miyawaki forest. And as I mentioned, I will make a video after the rain when the sun is back. So next week, that means, and explain the details. But the point is, anyone who has been interested and also wrote to me, now should know that we actually are going to do this. And the date for that is April 9. And we count on you guys as volunteers to pull this off, but we are also prepared and will also do this. Very likely we will hire a few helping hands here from the local area, so that we can definitely put these 28,000 trees into the ground very quickly. And before that, we will have the irrigation installed and the site prepared. So we are about to purchase a BCS two-wheel tractor that has a plow on the back, and with that we will then make little rows so that we can put the trees at the intersection of those little channels. And of course we will document all this, and in that next video I will then explain a little bit more. Of course the BCS will not be there just yet because it's about to be ordered and will probably take 5 weeks to be delivered, so it's getting tight a bit, but things are underway. And this is now all black and white, the ink is dry, and this will happen. So now you know it, April 9 is the date.